Hi, I'm Dale Powell, and welcome to That Spirit of Christmas. When we think of Christmas writers and Christmas stories, we often think of Charles Dickens and The Story of a Christmas Carol and Scrooge, and he had several other stories as well. We might think of O. Henry's classic, The Gift of the Magi, and I'm going to be working with that one a little bit later in the season. But there is an author who I have read several Christmas days on my Facebook page. And there's a poem by him that I like to read on Christmas Day. But I'm not going to read that today because it's not Christmas yet. But I do want to tell you one of his very famous stories, and that is the story of the other wise man. Now, here is an abridged version of that story. Artaban was a wise man of the East, like we've heard about so much, a seeker who watched the sky for signs of God. One night, he saw a new star blazing into being, and he knew what that meant. The king had come. Artaban sold his possessions and gathered three gifts worthy of royalty. But now remember, he's one of the other wise men, so he didn't have gold, frankincense, and myrrh. He had a sapphire, a ruby, and a pearl of great price. He planned to meet with the other magi and travel with them to find the Christ child. But on his way, he came upon a dying man on the road. The man's voice trembled. I am alone. I cannot go on. Artaban hesitated. The caravan of wise men wouldn't wait for him. Still, compassion overruled his feelings of urgency, and he tended to the stranger. He gave him water and nursed him through the night. And when morning came, Artaban discovered that the man was still alive, but the caravan had left. To catch up, Artaban sold his sapphire, the first of his treasures. He realized he still had two left, but he set out alone. He reached Bethlehem too late. The family had fled to Egypt, warned of Herod's decree. But as he stood in the village, Herod's soldiers burst in, seizing all the infants from their mothers. A young woman, terrified, hid her son in the shadows behind Artaban. The soldier approached. Artaban stepped forward, calm and unshaking, and placed the ruby, his second gift, into the soldier's hand. Take it, he said quietly, and go, but leave the child alone. The soldier paused, then took the ruby and turned away. The child was saved. But now Artaban had only one gift left. For years he wandered, searching in Egypt, then Persia, then beyond, always one step behind, always arriving just after the trail had grown cold, and he couldn't find the king he was looking for. His hair whitened, his steps slowed, yet year after year he kept searching. At last, in his old age, he reached Jerusalem on the very day another king was being led outside the city gates. A crowd pressed through the streets. Artaban heard whispers, Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews. The name pierced him. Could this be the one he had sought his entire life? He pushed through the crowd, clutching his final treasure, the pearl he had guarded for decades, determined to give it to the king. But before he could reach Golgotha, a cry broke out nearby. A young girl was being dragged away to be sold as a slave. She reached for him. Please, please help me. Artaban's heart broke. He had waited a lifetime to lay his gift at the feet of the king. But he had made a vow long before that. Where there is suffering, I will not pass by. He pressed the pearl into the captor's hand. The girl was released, And in that moment, the earth trembled, stones cracked, and Artaban fell to the ground. As he lay dying, he whispered, "My king, I never found you. I lost all my gifts before I could give them." And a voice, gentle, unmistakable, answered, "Not so, my servant. Whatever you did for the least of these, you did for me." Artaban smiled. He had found the king at last, and he had given every gift that he had and everything he'd ever possessed. And there, briefly told, you have the story of the other wise man. You know, most of us don't carry jewels across the desert, and most of us will never see a young girl sold into slavery. But every day we encounter people whose lives are falling apart at the seams. So, what do we have that we can help those folks with? Maybe it's time. Maybe it's patience. Maybe it's forgiveness. Maybe it's just a kind word. None of the gifts that Artaban wanted to give did he get to give to his intended person. He had to give it and spend it in a way that indirectly and to a different degree directly affected the other people. That's what he did. He gave up his treasure to help others. You know, the more I think about it, we're all a bit like Artaban. Most of us don't make it directly to where we're going when we set out. Artaban never made it to the manger. He never made it to see the Christ child. They'd already left when he got there because he was tending to the business that he needed to be tending to, and that was taking care of others. So when life hands us a detour, just remember to turn it to love. And when we do that, everything will work out the way it is supposed to. At least that's what I believe. And when we do help other people, is there really any better way to honor Christmas? That is what the spirit of Christmas is all about. That's one of the reasons I've created this podcast to show you the spirit of Christmas and show you that there's so many different ways that you can keep that spirit alive. I'm Dale Powell. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. And remember, when things get rough, turn it to love. Happy Christmas, everyone.